Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the equipment that you may need as a remote medical coder. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Alright, so if you are a brand new medical coder, or even if you are a veteran medical coder, and this is your first time working at home as a medical coder, there's a few things that you should know. Most times when you are working remotely, the company that you are working for will supply you with a computer, all right, and monitors. Now they do this because this information, this personal health information, is very important to keep safe. So this is why a lot of times they're not going to have you use your own equipment, because things can get left in memory as much as you try to erase it, right? So that is why a lot of times they are going to supply you with a computer and monitors. Every remote medical company I've ever known has always supplied computers. However, I have heard of a few that have said, okay, well, we're going to have you log into our secure portal and work from there, and you have your own computer. So, I mean, it really all depends on where you're working. But before you go out and start investing in any equipment at all, make sure that you know what you're getting when you're hired on with a remote medical coding company. It does not make sense to start buying all of this equipment beforehand, okay? So do not buy anything. That is my biggest bit of advice, is do not buy anything until you know what the company is going to want. Because if you're not allowed to use your own equipment, you are not allowed to use your own equipment. But you do have to have high-speed internet, of course. They are going to request that, because any sort of slow internet is going to affect your productivity. So above all else, they want to make sure that you are able to have high-speed internet access. They want you to have a secure internet connection. You cannot be taking the company laptop and going to Starbucks and, you know, having your drink and coding records. You cannot do that. We have to be secure at all times. Just because sometimes medical coders are not in a hospital or a doctor's office, they still fall under HIPAA. So you have to keep your screen secure. You have to keep your area secure. So that is something to keep in mind. So again, do not buy computers. Do not buy monitors until you know what the company is going to supply for you, all right? You also do not need a printer. Never will you need a printer when you're working for a remote coding company, because you're not going to be able to print off anything, okay? And that has been the standard that I have known. And so that is something that you don't have to worry about that. When I worked remotely a few years ago, I worked for a level 1 trauma hospital. And during my time with them, I never used a printer. They supplied me with a computer and with 2 monitors. So I had plenty of really good equipment to work with, and I didn't have to pay for this. They sent it to me. And when my time was done with them, I sent it back. And that's what they do. They will mail you your equipment and get you set up and get going. All you have to do is just basically plug in to your internet, and you are ready to rock and roll. The thing with working at home is you want to have good furniture as far as like a desk. That is something that I would say, like equipment wise, that you would need. If you're wanting to set up an office area, that would be great. If you have a room that you can dedicate to your office space, that would be the best, because again, it doesn't matter who is in your home. You have to make sure that no one but you sees the screen, okay? Because think about how you would like if somebody was coding your encounters at home and everybody in their household could see your encounters. So always make sure that you are in an area that is secure, that you're having your monitors face like a wall, so that way no one can accidentally pass by and see anything. And that's why having a separate office space in your home would be great. Some people have that, and some people have a little corner and they just sort of turn their equipment so that no one can see. So it really all depends. But having a nice desk goes a long way. You're going to be in this place for quite a while. So you want to make sure that you have a good workspace to work in. A nice chair would be really great. That would be something that you could invest in, is a nice ergonomic chair that can be set up for you, so that you can be comfortable with the lumbar support and such. Because again, you're going to be sitting for long hours. When it comes to being a medical coder in general, we have a very sedentary job. This is why I always encourage you guys to make sure that you are getting some sort of exercise in, whatever you can. I know that people have different physical abilities to be able to do that, but being able to get up and stretch and move around is very key. It's key to keeping us alert and awake and going and engaged with what we're doing. Just because we have a sedentary job doesn't mean that we have to stop moving. Okay, so again, having a nice comfortable chair would help. Having a nice bookshelf would be really good as well. Just because you may get a computer from your employer, they may also send you books. That is what my remote company that I worked for, they supplied me with medical coding books, which I got to keep. I got to keep all the manuals they sent me. So it's nice to have a shelf to put them on. It will keep things organized. It will keep the space in the area tidy, which you really do need. And when you're working with these computers and you're looking at the screen for long hours of the day, you want to make sure that you're giving your eyes a break in the times that you need to, right? And you can look up things in the book as well as in the encoder. Sometimes the encoder won't always take you down the path that you need, and you will end up being in a place that you're not supposed to, as far as like a code. So having the books handy really does help. And it's not just the ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS, or the ICD-10 PCS manual if you're working on the inpatient side, but there's also a medical dictionary, and there's also a thesaurus that you need. There's also an abbreviations book that I do recommend. So all of the books that I recommend are going to be in the description box of this video under the independent study video. I have all of the books that I recommend there. And yes, those were for studying medical coding, but they also do help if you are there and you're working. Other books that I recommend are the coding companions, and the coding companions are broken down by subject. So you can check out the Optum 360 coding website. This is not an ad for them, but everybody knows how much I love them. I love their coding companions because when you are working in specialty clinics, having this type of tool to help you, because the coding companion will cover all of the procedures that are under that particular specialty. It will also talk about the diagnoses that go with that particular procedure, as well as the RVUs, as well as terms you need to know. And it also breaks down the procedure in layman's terms. So any kind of equipment you're going to invest in something like that. Those coding companions are wonderful. And you can end up with a whole bookshelf like me if you're not careful. So, but it is helpful. It is good to have those tools. That is what you want when you are, especially when you're brand new. That is really going to help you. It's all about reading, folks. I say this all the time. When people are brand new, I think a lot of them are kind of amazed at how much reading we actually have to do as medical coders. And it's true. We have to do so much reading. But having the right tools will also help you. Imagine just being able to go to a book and being able to look at it and say, oh, okay. The Merck manual is another really good reference to have, and that would be great for your bookshelf. The Merck manual covers the diagnosis and the disease process, and it covers everything about that. It talks about it in detail, and it tells you about the symptoms. So whatever Merck manual, it does not matter. It literally does not matter. Some people said, is it the home edition or the professional edition? It really doesn't matter. It's covering the same thing. Some is probably a little bit more specific than others, but if you have that, you know, again, that is a great thing to have. It's a good reference tool, especially when you are trying to argue for your audits. So that is another thing that you could have. But yes, investing in a nice little bookshelf would be good, and you can get a nice little cheap one anywhere, Walmart, Target, wherever you go, and just, you know, set it up so that way you have a place to put your books. It's always really good to have nice pens and a nice notepad, just even if it's just a regular spiral notebook. I used to keep a spiral notebook, and I went through several spiral notebooks in a day. What I would do is I would keep track of how many encounters I was doing in a day, so that way I knew if I was staying on productivity or not. That helped me. And it's just a simple pen and paper. And every time I completed one, I put a little hashtag. I mean, a little hash mark, hashtag, hash mark. So that way I could keep up, and I would know by the time I did so many hours if I was maintaining productivity or if I needed to pick up the pace. And that does happen. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in these encounters that it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to hurry up and pick up the pace. Now, before you guys start panicking, because it never fails every time I mention about the difficulty of some of these encounters that I've had to go through. People write to me and say, well, I don't know if I can do this. I didn't know it was so detailed. This is my experience and what I've been through, and I want to share it with you guys so that way you are not so surprised when you go through this. And you can do it. You absolutely can. For those that are saying, oh no, I don't know if I can. You got into this for a reason. It wasn't just because, you know, oh, you know, whatever. You got into it for a reason, and you've gone through an entire program. You've gotten your certification, and now you're out in the real world. Well, this is actually what happens in the real world. They're not talking about this stuff when you're in school. And I'm here to tell you what they're not telling you, okay, guys? Because they're interested in selling you a program. These schools are interested in selling you a program. So now that you're out in the real world, these are the kinds of things that you're going to come up against. I just want you guys to be prepared. I would love to have been as prepared, right? I would love to be a brand new medical coder right now watching my channel because I know that this is what is actually happening. And if I had all of this information when I first started, trust me, I could have saved myself a good 6 years of like, what do I do? What do I do? But yes, that is something to know when you are doing remote coding. These are some of the things and the tools that you need. Keep track of your time, keep track of however many encounters that you are doing, all right? So that way you can keep up and you can know where you're at. You never want to have to rely on someone else running a report, a productivity report on you to see how you're doing. Some places do require you to do a productivity report. When I worked for the level 1 trauma hospital remotely, they did not require it. But I kept track of my own productivity because at the end of this, at the end of the quarter, we would get a report card to tell us how we were doing, and they would give us our productivity. And some people didn't know what their productivity was. I knew at all times what my productivity was because I knew that that was going to be the only way that I was going to be able to stay ahead and know where I was. And so that's just something to know and keep in mind. But yes, having nice pens and a notebook to keep track of your productivity would be really great. It's not going to require you to spend a lot of money to start, guys. I mean, like literally just like your basic furnishings. And you don't have to go out and buy an expensive chair. You can just sit in any old chair. Again, it is just a suggestion. And having the books, again, is just a suggestion. It does take time to accumulate a nice comprehensive library for yourself. But it is a investment that is worth it, okay? If you're going to invest in anything, don't invest in all these other credentials right away, especially if you're brand new. Give yourself time to learn about the field and learn about medical coding, so that way when you're adding on credentials, it's going to make sense because you're going to have the experience to go along with all of those credentials. At least that's just my advice anyway, guys. I'm not here to sell you anything, so I have no dog in the fight. You know, I'm just telling you what the truth is. And when you're looking at these job postings and they're asking for one medical coding credential, then you'll know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to continue my battle cry for the month, which is if you are brand new and still looking for a job, or even if you're a veteran coder and looking for a job, apply with a temp agency. You can Google for temporary agencies that specialize in medical professions in your area. And when you Google that, they will all pop up. I did this for the city of Dallas. I am not in Dallas, but I did it because I wanted to see what it would be like in a major city. And a lot of agencies popped up. I always recommend applying with them, especially when you're brand new, because it's going to get you that experience. And these temp agencies, they want money. So because they want money, they're going to try to get you a job. And it's like doubling your effort, right? You're out there trying to find a job, and there's somebody else that's out there trying to find you a job as well, because they want to get you working, right? Because they're going to get money if you're getting money. And even if it's just a temporary assignment here or there, at least it's some money coming in. All right, so that is what I want you guys to think about. That was how I got my start. That was how a lot of people got their start. But having a good resume, having a good cover letter, and having a good attitude is going to go a long way, because trust me, we all went through this. And nobody hates it more than brand new medical coders, obviously, because it is so discouraging. This is why I tell people, especially people who are going to get into these degree programs, if you're getting into these degree programs, always remember what it was like when you got started and take a chance on brand new medical coders. That's just my advice anyway. And my advice to brand new medical coders, if you're out there, is to continue to study. You know, the best way that you can become a high caliber medical coder is to continue your studies. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. We have to be able to comprehend and read this documentation. So doing all of those things is key. Studying is key. And again, having a good workspace with a nice desk and a nice chair and just a simple pad and paper is really all you need, okay? And not to mention your books, your tools that you can access, okay? So that is just what I will say. Don't purchase any equipment. I'm just letting you guys know, because if you think that you need to buy all of this equipment and these monitors and everything when the company is willing to send them to you, then you need to just wait and let them send those things to you. So that's just my advice anyway. Keep more of your money, guys. Keep more of your money. And if you're going to invest anything, invest in, like I said, you know, a nice workspace. So that way it will be more comfortable for you, okay? And anything else that you feel would make your space more comfortable, additional lighting, some lamps, maybe whatever whatever you need. If you need to have a filter on your screen, you can always get those, so that way you can minimize your blue light exposure. That would be helpful, I think. And just giving your eyes, remembering always to give your eyes actual rest though, and not stare blankly at the screen. Okay, so that is my advice for today. I just wanted to take also another second to let you guys know my Facebook Medical Coding with Blue page is up. So if you guys want to join me there, I have been trying to do more tips on there, just like really simple, quick things. I just did one, what was the difference between definitive procedure and an exploratory procedure, because somebody asked that question. I'm sharing some of my favorite YouTube videos on there as well, so hopefully I can get more of an audience coming over from Facebook. Yes, I have been resistant to Facebook because of the groups that I had heard about and the groups that I had seen, you know, and all the negativity that I've seen with those groups. That is not acceptable on my page at all, okay? Just the same way that it's not acceptable on my channel. I keep very strict control over my channel. I watch the comments, I watch the things, and so I want this to be a good place for people to visit and to get information and talk things out and get those answers that they're looking for. And I will do everything I can to keep it that way. But yes, that is my message for today. So again, if you are wanting to join me on Facebook, I'm at Facebook, Medical Coding with Blue. I hope you'll join me there. If you're interested in additional medical coding exercises, I hope you'll check out my Patreon channel. And I did upload it's a short crossword puzzle to the Facebook page. So if you're ever curious about the crossword puzzles that I do on Patreon, I did share a short one, so that way you guys can kind of get a sample of what it's like in case you were ever curious. So be sure to check that out there. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Like, subscribe, share. Bye.